And so if you're telling your prospects and you're promising in the world that you're going to keep them updated, you're going to keep them, you know, up to speed, right? And you're going to constantly check in, but then you don't, the prospect is going to be upset because they don't know anything else besides what you told them that you're going to do. And so when you really think about these specific milestones, now the question is, okay, well, what do I do? Do I give them an update every single day? Do I give them an update every single week? And how I set up the expectation with my prospects and my clients is I always let them know and say, okay, so as we prepare your file, really what we're going to do is we're on standby for title and escrow to give us our components that we need to prep your file for underwriting. Now that process, you know, the turn time could be anywhere from 10 to 15 days. But in the interim, if you have any questions or any concerns, I'm always an email or a phone call away. What's up, everybody? In this video, we're going to talk about pipeline management. You know, I was hit up by a follower that on my channel, and he was like, I doubt you're going to see this request, but can you make a video on pipeline management? And I thought to myself, I was like, man, that's a good topic because I never really touched on pipeline management. You know, I got a ton of content like on time management, mindset management, of course, sales management and origination management, but not too much content on pipeline management. And I think that that's important because without the proper pipeline management system in place, you're going to find times where your prospects and your clients, they're going to go ghost on you. You know, I've seen it happen many times before where, you know, prospects just bounce, like they leave because they literally don't know if you're actually working on their deal. And we become so systematic within our process where we tend to feel like our prospects should know, right? Like we already talked to them, we locked them up, and, you know, we told them they're in processing. But if they're not getting answers back from you, or they're not getting any feedback or updates from your processing team, your prospects have no other choice but to believe that they were forgotten about. And so I think that it's vitally important to have a very sufficient pipeline management system. And so in this video, I'm going to actually cover that. Now, before I begin, if you're new to this channel and maybe, you know, you haven't yet subscribed yet, be sure you hit subscribe, follow me on the other channels. You can catch me on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, every popular channel, even LinkedIn, and add me to your feed because there is always constant content being posted every single day. And you're just one video away from finding that one piece that can help unlock your potential. And I hope to help you get there. So in this video, with regards to pipeline management, you know, I think we have to understand that, especially as a loan officer, your loans are going to go through a process in itself. And that process, you know, lasts anywhere from 30 days to 60 days. And even in some cases, depending on where the market is, it can go upwards to 90 days before that loan closes. And our prospects, number one, is they are used to getting updates. And so I want you to have empathy when you're thinking about your own prospects. Think about how you shop and how you buy things. And even though they haven't, you know, exchanged money yet at the point of us locking the deal and beginning the process, in their view, they technically have because they've somewhat committed to you. And so I want you to think about how much we like to get updates. And so if you've ever ordered anything online, you know, you get updates the entire way, right? You track it. You want to know exactly where it's at, the ETA of when it's going to come back. And this is how technology has kind of wired us as consumers whenever we transact money in exchange for a service or a product. And so why I bring this up is because it is very important that you have some sort of system to keep your prospects updated, because that's one of the primary reasons why you even need to manage your pipeline, is to make sure none fall out. A constant goal within our daily function is to continuously feed that pipeline, right? And in order to continuously feed that pipeline, you need to first have a handle on your pipeline. And so with regards to any loan that you feed into the pipeline, that pipeline is going to go through what's called milestones. And so in basic form, milestones is, you know, from lock to origination, to prep for processing, Processing preps the file, puts all the components from title to, you know, escrow, all the details, income, credit, right? Everything needs to be buttoned up for underwriting, because underwriting is technically the final stop before it's actually okayed to go to documents. And we need that deal to go to documents because we need that deal to sign. And it doesn't go to documents unless it gets approved by underwriting. And so these little departments, I like to refer to it as a conveyor belt, because once you put a loan in your pipeline, it's kind of like a conveyor belt. And so it's going to go through these different stations that put the pieces together. Ultimately, the deal goes through certain milestones instead of stations. And so if you understand the milestone process, it's a little bit easier for you to manage, because when a deal goes from processing to underwriting, it typically gets shot back to processing. And the reason for that is because your underwriter is giving it conditions. These conditions they're anywhere from prior to doc conditions, prior to approval conditions, prior to fund conditions. And it's important that you understand what these pieces are, and that your operations team are sufficient at what these details are. Because if you're not, and your operations are not, your deal is going to sit in the pipeline longer than it has to. And one thing that we don't want to do is have a borrower or a prospect or a client get anxious, right? Especially right now. You know, how many times have you gotten comments of like, man, are we closing yet? I thought we were going to close. We've been in process already for a month. You know, if that's happening to you right now, comment below or comment. Just say, yeah, man, that shit's happening to me every day. And the reason for that is because the expectations need to be properly set up. And so if you're telling your prospects and you're promising them the world that you're going to keep them updated, you're going to keep them, you know, up to speed, right? And you're going to constantly check in, but then you don't, the prospect is going to be upset because they don't know anything else besides what you told them that you're going to do. And so when you really think about these specific milestones, now the question is, okay, well, what do I do? Do I give them an update every single day? Do I give them an update every single week? And how I set up the expectation with my prospects and my clients is I always let them know and say, okay, so as we prepare your file, really what we're going to do is we're on standby for title and escrow to give us our components that we need to prep your file for underwriting. Now that process, you know, the turn time could be anywhere from 10 to 15 days. But in the interim, if you have any questions or any concerns, I'm always email or a phone call away. If you have SMS capabilities, just text me anytime. You know, I'm always going to be available. Now, you always want to set up the expectation as well that you are always on the phone or you're always in meetings. And so if you miss their call, let them know that don't worry about it. I'll return the call within 24 hours, but really deliver on that. You know, you really have to be there, be available, because your presence and your availability is really what's going to hold your prospect or your client intact. And it's going to give you the glue that you need to see that deal all the way through. And so why I bring this up is because one of the most common reasons why deals fall out is because they are just unaware. And so they don't understand these milestones. And the reason why they don't understand these milestones is because they don't work in this industry. They don't work in the business like you and I do. And so if you think about it, at the very front end, we ask our prospects and our clients for, for conditions, right? For stipulations, for documents, for income documents and all these other documents. And then again, we do it if we weren't efficient up front. And so maybe we'll ask for more documents when it gets into processing. And then it goes through underwriting, gets kicked back with conditions. And now we're asking the prospect again for more documentation. And so we have to pay mind to the experience that our clients are facing. If they feel like they're constantly sending you documents, that's more work for them. And they're going to feel like they're never ever getting anywhere. And they're always going to look at your phone call or your email updates as, oh, here we go. What document do you need now? Right? Or what else do you need now? And so we have to be very efficient, understand what each component or each station does, from processing to underwriting to funding, and be proactive and pick up these things and these details that we can be proactive about in completing up front, so that when it goes through these stations, it's not going back and forth. It's not going back to you. It's not going back to the station. It's literally hitting that station and moving on to the next milestone. And I think that that's by being efficient, and efficiency is going to be about knowing your process, about knowing the components, you know, and also it's going to require some repetition, because there are certain processors that may not be as efficient as others. And then there are certain underwriters that may not be as efficient as others. So that's where the repetition comes into play, because you need to understand and recognize these names. But when you get yourself caught up with a healthy pipeline, a full pipeline, really the easiest way is to set up the proper expectation up front, be very detail oriented up front, make sure it's buttoned up, so that when you put it on the conveyor belt to go through these milestones, you're not constantly being pulled away from the primary goal every day of new origination. Because if you're constantly managing and maintaining your pipeline, you're never going to have any time to actually feed that pipeline. And the only way to really reach your potential and reach the income levels that you join sales to reach, you have to be efficient. So understand your milestones, understand what required documents are needed to be in place up front, so you can minimize the back and forth and the constant requests from your client, because they're gonna get frustrated and they're gonna leave on you. And remember, you don't get paid on that deal until that deal completes and it completely closes. So I hope that this video is helpful. I wish you guys a great and productive day. If you guys ever have any questions, feel free to comment below. Let me know if this content is helpful and what topics you'd like me to cover on the next live. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.